Hey everyone, quick little announcement from Fishing the DMV. The next 3 people that sign up for the Weekend Warrior Club membership for the whole year will receive a Fish Everything glide bait. These are some of the best glide baits on the market today. And because this next episode that we're doing is all about big bass in Virginia, and guess what, guys? Glide baits are a part of it. I'm going to be giving one away to the next 3 individuals that sign up for the Weekend Warrior program for the whole year. On top of that, whether you're a grandfathered in Patreon member or a Weekend Warrior, all Patreon members will receive 20% off their orders to Tactical Fishing Company, 15% off their orders to Super Blue Stuff, 10% off their orders to Tiger Crankbaits, 5% off their order to Jake's Bait and Tackle. You'll also gain access to join 4 month-long fishing tournaments that I'm holding in 2026. Last year, I gave away over $8,000 in cash prizes, plaques, and just giveaways, including a couple of guided fishing trips with legendary anglers like SB Fishing and Ethan Stone, and I'm hoping to blow it out this year as well. You'll also gain access to our private Facebook group community, ad-free episodes of the show, and monthly fishing reports, especially for you smallmouth river anglers. I really try to keep you guys up to date on the flow gauges for the different rivers in our area. And there's so much more. As more sponsors come online in 2026, I'm going to increase the benefits to everyone. You get all of this for $8 a month, which is less than a megabass jerkbait or a jackhammer chatterbait. Guys, this is just a way I can say thank you to everyone that helps support and keep this show going. Link in the episode description. Thank you so much. You're listening to Fishing the DMV with your host, Thomas Aarons. Fishing the DMV is brought to you by Jake's Bait and Tackle, located in Winchester, Virginia, Tactical Fishing Company, and Fishing Pro Tech, located just outside Williamsburg, Virginia.
If that doesn't get you jacked up, I don't know what will.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Monday Night Live. It's been a long time since I've done this. I have survived the Augusta County show. Absolutely awesome. They broke records. They had over 2,000 people show up to that event. It is the most they've had in over 10 years. So huge shout out to everyone that came out to Augusta County. A couple of people were actually here tonight. We got Beak out. Good evening, DMV. Turn the heat up. Time to go fishing. Dude, turn the heat up. Half of Virginia is frozen. My God. There was a guy I posted on my Facebook page. He did a drone shot of the Potomac River above the Great Falls. It was frozen solid. I don't think the last time, this is the coldest winter of all time, which is absolutely insane. And then BCal, thanks for letting me know about the audio. Again, guys, if you're upset about the audio, if you're listening on your phone, tablet, iPhone, or TV, I'll re-upload this thing hopefully tomorrow at some point, depending on how long we go tonight. If you guys don't know, and I'll be reiterating this a couple times throughout the show, these guys have a cool goal, because I think one issue I have with bass fishing is it's all about tournament fishing. It's all about the elites and all this other stuff, but there's so many cool different goals. I just talked to a guy yesterday at the Augusta County show. He has 4 different state records to his name and a world record for a fall fish. And that's his passion. And it's so cool. There's so many different things that you can do in fishing. And these two are hunting down the biggest largemouth in Virginia. Let's bring them on without further ado. First off, the man, the myth, the legend, the guy who caught a big one this past year. Caden, how you doing, boss?
Great intro. Thank you. I feel like I'm in a boxing match. But yeah, man, I'm so happy to be on here. I to be honest, man, I kind of grew up watching you. I'm from West Virginia, relocated. I'm a refugee of bad fishing, relocated to Virginia, and I have already had a great time. Okay, so that's what we're going to be talking about. Thanks again for the good introduction.
Dude, as always. And guys, fear not, we are going to be doing a pre-recorded show at some point where we're going to talk about all things West Virginia fishing. I got to experience what the young kids do with the old TikTok last week. Speaking of young blood and old blood, we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Aidan.
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having us on, Thomas. Ready to talk about some trophy bass fishing here in Virginia, talk about some of the tactics we used to catch them, man, and just whatever else.
I don't even know. I think the easiest way to start this off is, what made you guys want to pursue this? Because everyone, I kind of said it in the beginning here, everyone wants to become an Elite Series Pro, the Opens, and you guys nah, we want to chase this. We want to chase the ghost, which is catching the biggest bass possible. What set you guys down this path? And whoever wants to go first, go first.
Yeah, I think we let Aidan take that.
I feel like the tournament scene, I have a lot of fun fishing tournaments. I love competitive bass fishing, but you can only go so far with that on a local level. And in my current situation, like with the boat I have, like I'm not really suited to fish like BFLs or Toyota Series or any of those, kind of more major tournaments that can take you to the next level. And so most of the tournaments I fish are on the local level, fishing club tournaments, grassroots trails, that sort of thing, out of a 16-foot low with a 9.9 horsepower motor. And so I kind of fell into this world of trophy bass fishing when I met Victor Deppy, owner of Fish Everything. He makes a great glide bait, but I got my hands on a few of his baits in March of 2024, and within the first couple of weeks, I landed a 9-pound bass, and that was
Good
right here in
God.
Virginia too. That was at Aquana Reservoir, and I was hooked. I mean, there was no way that I was leaving that world behind, and so I continued fishing tournaments, but my real passion became trying to catch one bigger than that, and so that's kind of brought me to where I am today. That's my focus. There are lots of places in this area where you can go catch a 10-pound bass. And I don't think a lot of people realize the opportunities in Virginia, particularly, but also, parts of North Carolina and not so much Maryland, but Pennsylvania. There are places there where there's great opportunity to catch double-digit bass. So kind of finding these places, learning what they're like, learning how to find these places, fishing them, targeting those big fish. That's kind of what I've been on recently.
What is it? Is it a different mindset, or is it more of like being a Sherlock Holmes and you're doing investigative work trying to find the place that has these mega fish?
It's definitely a different mindset because when you go into fish a tournament, you're looking for 5 bites, right? Now, obviously, you're looking for the 5 biggest bites, but the strategy is completely different. When I go out there and I'm targeting a 10-pounder or just, the biggest fish I can catch, the biggest bass in the lake, the strategy is much different. I really am looking for one bite. I'm fishing for one bite. And so the way I fish is look like I'm probably not going to catch as many fish as somebody just going out there having a good time or, trying to catch numbers of quality fish. And oftentimes, I do have success with numbers, but the techniques look different. Most of the time I'm throwing a big bait. I'm throwing a glide bait or some kind of swim bait. And sometimes I'm even downsizing to really small lures or like finesse live scope presentations, like a jig head minnow. I think that's a pretty well known one that's widely used to catch big fish, but it works. And so those are kind of my two key focuses as far as the techniques go. The big bait and then like mid-strolling. Knowing
Caden?
where to find the bigger fish can be tricky at times, right? And so a lot of that just experience and being on the right body of water.
Dude, I 100% agree with that. Caden, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, man. I don't want to. Let's break this down a little bit because I think Aidan, definitely want to give Aidan like props and he motivated me to go catch that 10-pounder. Okay, so I want to give credit where it's due. I mean, Aidan really put in a lot of time, researching things, figuring stuff out, and he started to get results, and he's like, dude, there's a chance. So, more to the better. And for me, it's never really been about catching the biggest fish for me. It's been about figuring out a body of water and, really breaking down water as fast as I can. And I mean, that ultimately does in return equal catching the biggest fish, right? Like why am I doing that? Because I'm trying to catch for one, the most and the biggest fish, right? As for fun, my background. I mean, Aidan and I both had an opportunity to fish competitively in college. Okay, so at WVU, West Virginia University.
Cool.
And yeah, so like Aidan and I, we go back to an extent. Like we have friends of friends. Like so, it's cool. Like we're so intertwined, and me moving to Virginia just gave us a better reason to start talking to each other. At like a legitimate friendly level. So it's been really dope. And before that, dude, it's like, I mean, we knew of each other, but we weren't friends. Now it's like we have everything, everything and a reason to be friends. Not only our passion, but just our geography now. So, but when we talk about big bass, I think that's always the goal. I think I don't care who you are. I think it's always a goal, whether it's competitive or not. Hey, I'm going out to try to cash a check, or hey, I'm going out to have fun. We're looking for a big fish. Okay. And what that translated for me is like dialing in not only my electronics, becoming proficient with forward-facing sonar, becoming proficient in techniques that forward-facing sonar has transcended, right? Midstrolling. What would midstrolling be without forward-facing sonar? So the point is becoming proficient in this, breaking down a water as fast as possible with the best baits. Okay, that's what I'm obsessed with. And a 10-pounder was caught. You know what I mean? Like, it obviously we're doing something right. We're doing something right. We're doing things a little bit differently. And I think the biggest thing I want to set the tone off for a lot of people, because I bet you there's a decent amount of people that live in Virginia / live near Virginia and have fished Virginia. I think the biggest thing that is the benefit of an angler is having an open mind. Fishing history bites us in our butt so much. Okay, not to say that history, repeats itself, right? But I think a big thing for me since relocating to Virginia has been my open mind, how I'm approaching these bodies of water, things like that. So not even necessarily how we're fishing, but how I'm looking at the lake and how I'm willing to move around. So that's my little spiel on that.
Aidan?
I would like to add to Caden's point real quick about, in order to getting to that point of targeting the biggest fish in the lake, it's really about breaking down the body of water. And he's absolutely right. I mean, it starts when you first put the boat in the water on a new body of water. It doesn't matter what kind of potential that lake has. Obviously, it helps if that lake does have the fish you're looking for swimming in it, but being able to break down that body of water is how you get to that point. Understanding what kind of body of water you are on, whether, the biggest fish there only get to 7-8 pounds, or if they get to 10 pounds, that's different. And we can go down that rabbit hole later on in the show, but understanding how that environment works is really the key to understanding where that big fish lives, when it's going to eat, and what it's going to eat. And listen, man, like, anybody can go catch a 10-pounder on any given day. You can show up to a lake for the first time and catch one on your first cast. You can. Is it likely? Absolutely not. But the people that put in the time and having the understanding of your technology, your electronics, but also the fish and their environment, because a 10-pound bass is a much different creature than like a 3-pound bass. They're two different animals. They behave in different ways. Sure, they look the same, but their behavior is different. And the behavior of a 10-pound bass is it's based on 15 years of experience in its environment, whereas a 3-pound bass may only have, 5 years of experience.
Well, with that said, this is a good little tee off for you. That's a 10-pound bass.
Yeah.
How hard is it to catch him? How intelligent is he?
Not as smart as you think he is, probably, but a lot smarter than a smaller one.
I mean, Aidan said it, dude. It's like humans, man. At least I hope it's like humans, right? Like, as we age, we become more wise, more knowledgeable. At least a perfect human being would do that. But like the idea of evolving, right? In that time span, that fish has probably been caught. And I would love to know the data on how, if we were to take it on average a 10-pound bass, how old that fish is, how many times that fish has been caught in its life. Like, that would be a cool metric to have an average of. I haven't seen it.
Absolutely.
But that would be a really cool metric to know, because I guarantee you it's a lot. So
it's funny that you said that, because the new like state record muskie was caught for, I think it was Maryland or West Virginia, but the thing was tagged by the DWR.
Oh, that's cool.
It wasn't caught for over 8 years, and the DWR thought it was dead. And then when the guy caught it, it had a tag in it. And so they realized, and guys, this Wired to Fish just published the article today about it.
Okay.
They thought it was dead. No, literally for over 8 years, no one caught that muskie, and it's in my backyard. And it shows you, like, that fish was so intelligent, so sly, that it lived there for over 8 years and was never caught. And so, and maybe this is me like doing the ghost in the shadows thing. Like, maybe there are some of these fish, because when we're going to eventually get into this about the state record and the world record. You wonder if that fish exists. Are they just that shy? Are they that smart? Because I'm figuring the biggest buck in the woods probably is not too stupid either.
Yeah.
But anyway,
dude, that's a really good point. And like you saying that, so like this fish hadn't been caught in 8 years. So there's two ways to approach this. The fish was either so smart that it learned after the last time it was caught to go hide, okay? Or it was just lucky enough to live in a habitat, or maybe in a certain part of this body of water where it was the most protected from anglers. So like, you know what I mean? So there's, because I think about like world record smallmouth bass, for example. There is 100% a world record smallmouth bass swimming in Lake Erie. Okay, I guarantee you. But that fish is pelagic. That fish is deep. That fish spawns 10 to 15, 20 foot deeper than a 6-pound smallmouth, right? Like, is it because, and now with forward-facing sonar, like there's an argument because now we can target those fish, whereas 10, 15 years ago, we weren't able to do that. So, or even shorter amount of times. So it's a good question, Tom. Is it the fish being smart, or is it us being dumb? It may be a little bit of both. Yeah,
I think both play into it for sure. Yeah. And I think when you take a body of water, like I think it was the Potomac River, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you take a body of water like that, I mean, it's ever changing, and I'm not really sure what kind of pressure it gets from musky anglers, but I kind of lean more towards what Caden's saying about that fish living in an environment that's more protected from angling pressure. And maybe that was a choice that fish made based on its life leading up to that point, or maybe it's just how things worked out, and that's the environment that fish chose.
Tactical Fishing Company is a veteran-owned fishing brand that specializes in soft plastics and hollow body frogs that are designed in-house. They collaborate with anglers across the country, giving you some of the best designs out there. If you haven't checked them out yet, you're really missing out. Their number one selling bait is the MRE, Minnow Ready to Eat Hybrid Swim Bait. It flat out catches fish. Whether you're throwing it on your favorite spinnerbait or bladed jig as a trailer, or using it as a standalone finesse presentation, it's one of those baits you can keep tied on all day and stay confident in. And if you're chasing snakehead, Tactical Fishing Company has you covered. They make some of the most rugged, durable frogs out on the market today, from the Dragon Pop to my personal favorite, the Rizzard. When it's time to try and tame your next dragon, they've got the tools you need to make the day on the water memorable. So go support a veteran-owned business, fish with confidence, and make every cast count. Check out Tactical Fishing Company, link in the episode description down below. Every angler knows the feeling. Your shoulder burns after a long day of casting, your lower back and your knees feel super stiff from standing on the front of the boat all day trying to fill out that limit. You love being out on the water, but your body pays the price. That's why I keep Super Blue Stuff roll-ons everywhere I go. Tackle box, truck, home, glove box my boat. I've been using their product since I was young, and the natural pain relief with the emu oil and herbs that works in about 5 minutes with no harsh chemicals, no strong medical smell. Just rub it on and get back to fishing. Spring season is almost here, so stock up now. All Fishing the DMV viewers and listeners will receive free shipping off of their roll-on orders when they use the code FISHING at bluestuff.com/fishing, or you can give them a call at 866-571-BLUE. Again, you can use the website, bluestuff.com/fishing, or call 866-571-BLUE and use the code FISHING. And if you're watching on YouTube, put your phone up to the screen right now and use the QR code, and that'll take you right to the website. Thank you guys so much. I swear by this product, and I think you'll like it too.
And so, guys, because, I try to show stuff here. I was making sure while they were saying that. So it says, this data helps researchers understand how muskies navigate the Potomac. Her consistent presence in one specific area for over a decade makes her ability to avoid every lure and bait thrown by local anglers all the more impressive. And again, guys, this is the new, I think it was like, how big is this fucking, it's big. Big enough to become the new state record. So it's a muskie.
69.
Yeah, it's 69. So I get it. It's a muskie, but it also makes you kind of wonder when you go to the green ones here, if it stayed in the same hole and biologists were like measuring it for a decade and no one caught it, it's like, it should get you also jazzed that, and then again, Hayden, we had this conversation last week on TikTok. Mm-hmm. Maybe there is a 16-pounder out there, but it's just, it could be there for so long and it won't be fooled, or you need everything to line up to make that thing want to eat.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, it's a rare fish. I mean, in terms of statistics here, the probability of catching this fish, especially a state record, is naturally going to be low, right? Because, I mean, it's a state record. And two, the culmination of variables that need to happen in order to even catch a fish of that rarity is also really rare in of itself too. So there's it's a culmination, it's an alignment of stars. And like I'm just reading this last comment. It's basically alignment of what you just said, John, right? Like all these variables that we rely on as anglers to catch this fish of a lifetime. So.
And it reminds me of like deer. Like again, if you guys watch hunting shows and stuff, like the buck that gets over like 12 points, 13 points, like that is a deer that's seen. He's gone through Vietnam multiple times. He knows stuff that's going to happen. And I think with catch and release, this is a thing. So I started to do way more saltwater stuff this year. And the biggest thing is fish are a little bit dumber there because if you catch them, they don't get put back, generally speaking. You know, they get ate. But here, some of these fish could have gotten stuck once or twice when they were babies. And so they learn real quick, like that's a Cinco, you know, that's a jig. And they get really wary, or boat pressure. I really do think if you have a 23-foot skeet or whatever, and you get too close to that hump or that stick up, they feel that shit. They're not stupid anymore. They know when you motor up to them, and they just get a little bit more weeder. Because I've seen them on forward-facing sonar. When you hit them with the cancer beam, they just drop down. So if you're 10, 15 pounds, like I feel like you're right. Everything has to line up to make him stupid just for a split second. So he'll commit to that one time.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what happened, Caden, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of ways we can approach why it happened, but I think, I don't really know. I mean, I can tell, maybe we can, since the photo's up, I can describe kind of what happened in terms of catching this fish.
Go for it.
Because I think it is important. So this day started off very windy. Okay, this was what, 4 weeks ago, Aidan? This was over.
Something like that, yeah.
Almost.
It was
almost a month
middle
ago.
of January, right before the ice, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, this day started off really windy. And it got windier, you know, throughout the day. I mean, 20, 25 mile per hour gusts. And, you know, I'm in a 14-foot, 48-inch wide John boat, 15 horsepower, you know, freaking 50-pound trolling motor with live scope on it, of course.
Was this just you in the boat, or do you have a tripod up for this photo?
No, so this was in Kyle. This was in Kyle McCann's boat. Kyle McCann, and let's set the stage. Aidan was out there on his boat with Nick, who caught his PB that day. 8 pounds, what ounce?
4 ounces, I think.
So 8.25. And Kyle was out on his Triton. Okay, and that's where this photo was taken. Was on his Triton, because obviously when we caught the fish, we had a little ritual. We did like this cool little ritual. We got it super hype. No, but it was awesome.
We just screamed at each other.
Yeah, we were just screaming at each other in non-translatable English. But it was pretty fun. So anyway, it was dope to have these guys out there. That's another thing that I want to definitely touch on in terms of making this an incredible day. But so the environmental conditions. The water clarity was pretty fair. I mean, you know, not super dirty, not super
clear.
clean.
For that lake, it was clear.
Relatively clean. I'd say good water conditions. The wind was blowing significantly, and we all kind of throughout the first couple hours of the day kind of found ourselves in the same area. And I think the wind had a lot to do with that. I think Aidan had put in some time on this body of water, so he already kind of had a good gauge of where do I start. So we kind of all just hung out in this little bend in the lake where it's protected. And then I started to get really antsy. I'm like, I need to get away from these guys. Like I'm hearing people catch fish, you know, and I'm getting in my own head. I'm like, dude, I need to go, you know, let me veer away from the crowd. So I went to this spot multiple times, Thomas. So I went to this spot first when it was blowing, and I mean blowing. And I noticed fish using live scope in this tree. Okay. I noticed fish in these particular set of trees and made casts at them. They would come out, did not eat. So I made a mental note, even dropped a waypoint on those trees. Okay. And it was howling. I'm in a light, like I said, 14-foot John boat. Dude, it's impossible to navigate. And then nevertheless scope on top of that. It takes, you know, a lot of energy to do that. So anyway, day progresses. I wasn't having the best of the day, right? I like Aidan took the cake on the best day. Like I had dumped an 8-pounder on the bait, you know, this guy. I was frustrated. I was calling Aidan. I'm like, dude, what am I going to do? Oh yeah. This guy right here.
Just for
Yeah. So this was the bait for everyone watching. This is the bait that I
How
did
big?
catch that 10-pounder. This is the 9-inch. Pretty
There you go,
sick.
Vector.
Thank you,
There you go,
Victor.
Victor.
Shout out to Fish Everything. We'll continue to reiterate this, but the big thing was I hit that spot right before getting off the water, and the wind had died down. It allowed me to actually fish this spot efficiently to
was also-
a point. Yeah,
It was also the warmest part of the day.
that too. Yeah.
What was the moon phase? That was a question on Instagram.
There was
If
no
you know.
relative-
It wasn't anything special. It was like a first quarter rising.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a very. It was. I
Dude,
think
you're
it was-
on top of that shit, man. You're like
Oh,
first
dude.
quarter rising.
I ended up looking it up, and it was not a very.
He sounds like a
important
muskie
moon
angler.
phase.
Goddamn.
Yeah, it was first quarter rising, 16th away. Whatever. I'm not a very
Yeah,
superstitious
it
person.
was a Gemini bass actually.
Dude, I talked to a muskie guy at Augusta, and like they were like, "Yep, 100%." They like have every moon phase based on the day memorized. Like, god damn, like
bro.
like there are some people that are like hardcore into that stuff as a factor.
Yeah, Aiden's definitely more into that, and Vic even more so. Vic is like super nerdy about the moon, and I'm like, dude, I just go fishing, man. Like,
Well, yeah, and like we'll go fishing either way. But the
Yeah.
thing is, like, it doesn't apply all the times, but like there's certain times of year where a full moon or a new moon can be really good or really bad for the bite.
yeah, for sure.
Next question here. We got John says, "Oh yeah, I remember when fishing 20 inches plus, 20 feet plus wasn't anything I would be focusing on, but that's not deep in the least. I'm now starting to look at 30 plus range if the thermocline permits." Dude, yep, I'm telling you, scope has blown that out of the water knowledge wise. But continue. Good
Yeah.
story.
No, I mean, this was a matter of conditions. And I think, like Aiden said, this is later in the day. You know, the water was at its warmest. Whatever, we could break it down based off of the variable. I think the most important variable of this was wind and the lesser of wind towards the end of the day. So I was able to actually set up on these trees, efficiently fish them. I cast it over a tree that had fish on it. I couldn't tell how big these fish were, how many fish there were. But as I was bringing it over this tree, allowing it to pendulum down into, not into the tree, but right outside of it, this 10-pounder shoots up, and about a half dozen follow her. And they were probably in the 5 to, I don't want to, say
They were
exact, but
they were all over 8 pounds.
they were
Every
all
single one.
giant, right? They were all big fish.
They were all big.
Yeah, they're all big. So, what's crazy is this fish shot up at the Taxi Shad 9, acted as if she was gonna commit, didn't commit, and I'm sitting there like my heart's pounding out of my chest, freaking out, and dude, I was like, oh no, like I just missed this opportunity. What I did was I then just slowly, methodically started reeling the glide. So instead of it doing a traditional, wider glide, it's doing a tight little S, right? As you're swimming it very slow. And she then started to track the bait. She then started to hunt and track. And as she got closer, I gave it a few chops, a half turns of the reel handle. And then that allowed that bait to then do a couple harder wide glides, right? And then, at that second chop or whatever, she T-boned it. And as soon as I hooked her, I just grinded her in. I did not let her fight at all. I just wanted to get her in the boat, got her in the net, and I sat. And I mean, Aiden was 30 yards away from me. And I instantly knew, this was, I thought it was 12 pounds, 13 pounds at first, because I had never seen a fish of this size. I mean, it is a weird feeling for sure. So.
Question that popped up on Instagram. Guys, go over to Facebook or YouTube or any of the other places because I can share your comments. How did you know to adjust your cadence? Is it instinct?
Yeah, I think it was instinct. And for people who are wondering, like, if they need a lot of experience with glide baits, especially to catch fish, I haven't even been fishing glide baits at this time, I've been fishing glide baits for 5 months, not even half a year. And growing up in West Virginia, we didn't this bait didn't really play unless you're on private water or you're on specific bodies of water where these fish were vulnerable to those baits. And we can get into that a little bit more, but I didn't have a reason to learn how to throw these stupidly large glides. So it was an instinctual thing. You know, that fish had initially shown a ton of interest, then backed off. And I'm like, well, what can I do to not overwork the bait, not scare her off even more? So it was just then defaulted to a slow, methodical reel, you know, steady reel. So
It's one of the things that's so deadly about the glide bait as well. Is, I mean, there's so many different ways you can fish it, between fast, slow. You can swim it, you can chop it, wide glide, and you know, it really takes the angler behind the bait to make a natural presentation. And you know, not every fish is going to bite. Not every fish that follows it is going to bite, and that's just part of the game. But the more bites you do get, the more you learn how to fish that bait in each scenario, because every situation, every fish is different.
for sure.
Caden, what was the biggest adjustment coming from West Virginia to Virginia? Tackle, mindset, anything?
Honestly, I don't want to sound, I want to sound humble. I'm not this guy, but it was a matter of the resource. It wasn't even a matter about who I was as a fisherman. I think, like I said, I think it's hilarious. I'm going to start saying this. I was a refugee of a bass fishing war in West Virginia. All right. We're talking about one of the most pressured states, one of the most grinder states. If you're from West Virginia, you know, if you've tournament fished, even local stuff, like it is a grinder state. If you're not, here's the thing. If you can do well in West Virginia, I believe you can do well in a lot of other states. Like that's my whole logic, right? You're learning how to be finesse, make decisions on the fly, and ultimately catch bass that are pretty pressured. Okay. So me moving to a state where, to be quite frank, the fishing is obviously astronomically better, but also the pressure, like these lakes, these pothole lakes don't see the amount of pressure that the pothole lakes in West Virginia do. So
Why?
that's a huge thing, is the resource.
Is it just that there's not as many lakes as Virginia? Like, why is it like the pressure is like greater there? And also, and this is a big thing, like, are the lakes the same? Because you're talking about, depending, like, you go out to the western part of the state past Smith Mountain Lake, and it's very river run, highland reservoirs. You go out to the coast, and they're very, like, lowland. You go down past Richmond, and it's very lowland, cypress, stumpy. You go up, and it's nothing but the res and the upper Potomac. But so, like, it's a very unique state versus West Virginia, which is basically mountains and coal.
Right. I think the lakes set up pretty similarly. I mean, in terms of, like, what's funny is I think that the lakes do set up pretty similar in terms of bait fish, in terms of the size. Like West Virginia, obviously the biggest reservoir we have is 2,000 acres, and that's Stonewall Jackson. So smaller lakes, but there's less lakes, and just the bass, the population of bass is not managed, right? So there's no emphasis on growing large bass. There are lakes that have good gizzard shad populations, but we don't see, maybe a correlative bass population as if we're seeing in Virginia here, right? Like these lakes that we're fishing, they have incredible bait fish populations, and there's big fish in them. I think a lot of it boils down to, in West Virginia, is it's improperly managed, and there's a ton of fishing pressure. So those two things compounded on each other makes that state a really tough state to fish in. I come here, and it's the opposite.
And that's a good segue, that I somehow ran into a West Virginia biologist at Augusta, and so he's going to get me in contact with some people to talk about bass fishing in West Virginia, because if you don't have connections, it's a goddamn nightmare to get to a biologist in these new states. So hopefully I'll be talking about that, because I think it's fascinating that West Virginia, I think it was you, Caden. I talked to way too many people, so it's a blur. Plus I'm getting old as shit, apparently. That said, like, there's a lot of bass fishermen in West Virginia, but the state doesn't give a shit about bass fishermen, which is kind of, if that's true, that's a wild situation to be in.
Yeah, I don't want to blatantly put them on blast like that. But I mean, if you
I
boil
will,
it down,
so
if
blame
yeah,
me.
yeah, so you will. And I mean, like I was a West Virginia bass fisherman. I still am. Like I'll still try, when I go home, I'm gonna fish, right? Like I'm gonna enjoy that resource. But the biggest thing is that state in the last, I don't know, since I've been around, has not done a serious stocking of bass. Like there's been talks in the last few years about F1s, which is awesome. I love that. I love that WV DNR. I love that. But like for my life, it's been trout and it's been muskie. Okay. Those two are probably the money has gone to those two species generally in terms of stocking, managing water for those resources, for those species. So
That's interesting. And then we got B Cow there. As soon as I took away the chat, are they more concerned about trout? Yes, trout and muskie.
Yep. Golden
Trout
trout.
muskie.
If you guys didn't know, golden trout, not like the native golden trout out west, but palomino trout. Okay, so albino trout, whatever you want to call them. Those were invented, genetically modified rainbow trout. Crazy. But that was a West Virginia coined thing. At a hatchery, there was some sort of a mutation that someone took note one year at a trout hatchery of this albino, this golden palomino trout. And they were like, oh, this is a good idea. Let's just breed these things and put them in the water, and then people could catch them. And then they call it the gold rush, of course, right? Like they call it the gold rush. It's cool. I think it's trout fishing is great in terms of getting people outside. It's an easy fish to catch generally, especially stock trout. It's a good entry level into the to fishing, right? But it's not where the money is, right? Like if WV DNR is focusing on, we want to increase fishing licenses, we want to increase economic value to maybe local towns like Weston and Stonewall or Buchanan or Morgantown for tournaments on Cheat Lake. Focus on bass, not trout, right? Like it's a more sustainable, economical option of a species. So.
What do you have to do when it comes to your tackle when you're pursuing these big dogs? Like, how much do you upscale your tackle?
So, honestly, it doesn't really change all that much from if I'm like fun fishing or fishing in a tournament to particularly going to a lake to target a giant bass. It really doesn't change that much based on the size of the fish. It's pretty standard conventional gear. I mean, even for the glide bait, I'm throwing a 200 size reel right now, 20-pound fluorocarbon. The one thing I will say is with Midstrolling, Caden and I have been experimenting with heavier pound line. And it has many advantages, but one of them is you actually have more control over what your bait is doing if you're using like 15-pound leader versus like an 8 or 10-pound leader. Yeah, absolutely. Your bait has more of a tendency to float, and it's a very subtle difference, but it's a difference that makes a lot of sense when you're doing it as much as we are, and you can actually see how the bait reacts to the movement of your rod on live scope. A lot of times you'll have fish in close quarters, and with a heavier pound test, you can keep that bait higher in the water column, and it is less likely to like pendulum down, right? It stays more on that like straight line instead of like wanting to sink down. It's just it keeps the presentation more natural. But also a plus side of that is when you are fishing around heavy cover, you're more likely to land a fish that might get wrapped up. When my friend Nick caught his 8-pound personal best, he was mid-strolling, and the night before he switched all of his leaders out from 8-pound test to I think 16-pound, and he got that 8-pounder stuck in a tree. It was stuck in a tree for over a minute, and he got it out. And I don't think he would have done that with 8-pound test. But yeah, even when I'm like throwing a jerk bait, it's still like 10-pound test. The line doesn't really change. Mid-strolling, I definitely like to upsize from that smaller line, but other techniques, I mean, it's not dependent on the size of the fish. It's dependent on where I'm putting the bait and what the technique is. And a lot of times I'm more focused about getting the bite rather than landing the fish, because getting that bite's more important. You never get the opportunity to land the fish if you don't get the bite. And so whatever line I need to throw to present the lure the best is the line I'm usually going to go with.
What is mid-strolling for the people that don't know?
What is
Yeah,
Explain it for
mid-strolling
idiots.
is I've got a little mid-strolling rod here actually.
Hey, Timmy, here you go. Here comes your setup right now.
I'm all tangled up over here.
We're releasing. Oh no! Look at that action on that rod.
Grab this thing.
I don't know. He had to black out his camera. If you guys don't know, I have a running joke with Timmy that he doesn't own a bait caster. Everything's a medium
doesn't.
light.
He told me. He doesn't.
Oh, God bless him. Let's see. We got
That's Nick.
God.
That's the guy. That's the guy who was out there that day on Aiden's.
Oh, there you go. Nick Orabor. So there you go, bud.
Nico Robo.
Nico Robo. Nick. Anyway, the guy that was out there. Yeah,
Yes.
we're just talking about big fish hunting in general right now, while Aiden goes blackout as he finds his rod.
I can at least define here. Maybe
for
while
it.
Aiden's looking for the rod, I can at least like give a
right,
basic
here we go.
overview of. So the question is, what is mid-strolling? Okay,
Yes.
mid-strolling. Let's break this. Let's be fundamental, because I like to keep things simple. Mid-strolling is a technique that is not specific to live scope. Okay, this has been Japanese anglers have been doing this for a decade. Okay, it is a middle of the water column technique. Okay, you're typically using a jig head, right? A owner range roller is one of the most coveted jig heads in mid-strolling. You're also using a fluke style bait, a depth Sakamata shad, a raid superfish roller, a megabass sling shad, fluke style baits. This is the megabass sling shad. Okay, so it literally looks just like a fluke. And the idea of mid-strolling is for the bait to roll. Okay, so as it's on the jig head, you're shaking your rod, and it's gonna do this. It's gonna roll. Okay, obviously the whole bait's gonna roll like that. So a very important thing that Aiden will touch on here is probably the easiest thing that will allow you to do this is having a good rod. So what is a good rod for mid-strolling, Aiden?
So it really depends. It's going to depend on the size, weight of your jig head, but more so it's going to depend on the minnow you're actually throwing, because a big minnow, like a 7-8 inch minnow, is pretty heavy. And especially with the baits that are, loaded with salt, that's a heavy bait. So you're going to need a stiffer rod. But for your typical like 4 and 5 inch minnow setup, the one I'm using here is this is a 7-foot 3-inch medium light. It's an extra fast action as well. You want a rod that has, more times than not, especially in like the 4 to 5 inch range, you want a soft tip that's nice and bouncy. It's going to give that bait plenty of action while you still have a good connection to the bait. You can actually feel the bait still and feel what's going on. That's really important as well. The length of the rod, I've used rods that were 6 feet 6 inches all the way up to 7 feet 11 inches. And I can say I enjoy using both. I enjoy the rods in between. It's really personal preference. I do think that a slightly longer, stiffer rod is going to be better for your bigger minnows or heavier weights, whereas the light stuff, the small stuff, a small rod like a 610 medium light or a 610 light even can get the job done. I'll show you my setup right here. Just have a 2500 size reel. That's a Shimano Stratic, and the rod here is a 7.3 medium light, extra fast action. This has been a great rod for mid-strolling for me. As far as the specs go, I have been experimenting with some different rods though. Like I said, I threw this one rod. It was a 7-foot 11-inch medium. I forget who makes it, but it's a pretty good rod for bigger minnows. You can cast it a mile, and I was using it on Lake Anna because I was hitting fish like 120 feet out that were schooling on bait. But as far as line goes, anywhere from like a 10 to 20 pound braid. Recently I've been using heavier. I actually haven't tried using the PE8 braid, like the 8-strand braid, but I hear that's really like coming onto the scene and taking over. It's like the same like you can get like 20 pound test that's the same diameter of like 10 or something like that. Anywhere from 10 to 16 pound fluorocarbon. I'd never go lighter than 10. There's just no need to. I'm not worried about the fish seeing my line. I know there are guys that throw 6 pound tests, but I've never been in a situation yet where I feel like my line size has been what's costing me bites. And this is actually the setup I caught a 9 pounder on the day before Caden caught his 10. That is a 1/8 ounce owner range roller and a 6-inch
Let me
step
get full screen.
Sakamata
There you go.
shad. And that's a pretty typical mid-strolling setup there. And a little tip, especially for these fluke style baits, Sakamata shads, you want to rig that jig head high up on the bait. All right. So what do you see how like the line of this hook is in the top of the bait?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about? I actually have it rigged in the nose. Like I went in the top of the head when I put that bait on. That's going to help it roll even better because you have all of that weight on the top end there. Whereas if you rig it straight, you don't get quite as good of a rolling action.
Dude, guys,
Midstroling's
that is
awesome.
the absolute shit. I have a random special guest because he is never off of social media. You all know him. You love him. The Current.
Oh,
Yo, what's up, Kyle?
Yo, boys.
hello.
What's going on, man?
Hello. Aiden,
What are you doing?
is that a Live, Laugh, Love poster in the background?
Yeah, the last time I went live with Thomas, I think Strikel pointed that out as well.
Dude, that's hilarious, man. Live, laugh, love,
Yeah.
baby.
Live, laugh, catch bass.
That is hilarious. I
Dude,
love
we
it.
all need that. I feel like we need
I
it.
love it.
What's up, boys?
Kyle, you
So
want
what's
to
going
you
on,
want
man?
to speed roll your part in this story of this insane fish that was caught?
Oh my God. I mean, these guys were screaming at me from like, that lake is only a couple hundred acres and we were only fishing maybe 200 acres of it. I could hear Caden from probably 400 yards away screaming. When Nick caught his fish, I thought it was Aiden's 10 because Aiden's been on this chase for like, Aiden, how long has it been since you've been chasing the DD now?
I mean,
Like-
I've been chasing the DD my whole life, Kyle, but
Persistent.
really like
Yes.
2 months. Like 2
2
months.
months. I mean, that is serious commitment. You've been through like the ups and downs of the weather that we've had this winter. And when I heard you guys screaming, I thought that was the fish. But then when Caden fell I saw him fall on the boat from like hundreds of yards away, just lay down. I'm like, oh God, something just happened that all of us are never going to forget. And I was watching the GoPro footage. I had my chest cam on and just remember Aiden and Nick passing over the net into my boat so I could throw this fish in the live well. And I've never seen a fish that big before in person, and was like a grouper. I'm from South Florida. That's the closest equivalent to a grouper that I've ever seen. It's like, holy shit, this thing is really filling up my entire live well.
Yeah.
It was pretty amazing. Like what just an epic day for all of us. I mean, I caught 28 pounds or 2780 something that day. Caden, 30 pounds, Aiden 34. Like I thought we were all going to hit a combined 100-pound three
Close.
5-fish bag. Yeah,
Word.
we were
Very
close.
tough.
I feel like we could go back out and do it, but it was just an epic day. Like Aiden and I have been chatting through social media for the past 6 months now, had never met in person before, and that was the first day that all of us fished together. And what a day to kick off like an IRL in-person relationship finally. Epic
Wild.
day.
It was special, man.
Very special.
I think the best thing about this personal best isn't the fish. Like, and Kyle, you touched on this on one of your posts. It's like, I really, really, really enjoyed the part of being able to share this experience, right? Like if I was by myself and I had to call all of y'all and had to, have a 20-minute long conversation about the same thing to each one of y'all, it would have still been awesome, right? But wouldn't have been nearly as awesome as how that worked out. Like Aidan, Nick, Kyle, and myself, we all got to just like geek out over this one fish. And that's honestly the thing I won't forget, even more so than the fish itself. You know what I mean? Like that's gonna be the thing that we're gonna tell stories about.
Absolutely, man. And it's just like Kyle said, that was our fish, Caden. That was all of our fish.
For sure. For sure.
No doubt.
Without a doubt.
When it comes to big fish hunting in Virginia, does every lake have the potential to catch a 10-pounder, or are there things you specifically look for when you're trying to select a place to fish?
There are
Everyone has to go. Everyone has to give their opinion.
There are a lot of places in Virginia you can go catch a 10-pounder, man, but it's definitely not everywhere. And there are very specific things that I look for because I mean I'm driving like 3 and 4 hours a lot of times to fish some of these places, and so like if I'm making that drive, there better be some 10-pounders in there. You know, there are very specific things that I look for. And I'll go ahead and I wasn't planning on this, but I'll go ahead and give away a few of the things that I look for. You know, I think a lot of guys they understand this, but there are a lot of people out there that are looking to, you know, catch big fish, and this is a good place to start. You know, get on the internet and do some research. Find out what lakes in Virginia have F1 tiger bass or Florida strain bass. Virginia Department of Wildlife Resources has a long history of stocking lakes with pure Florida strain bass and F1 hybrid bass. These bass, they just genetically they grow bigger. They grow bigger than northern strain bass. They just do. And even lakes that were stocked in like the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, like those places will still have big fish. You know, over time, those genetics aren't as strong. And that first generation of Florida strain bass, the first generation of F1 hybrid bass, which is an F1 is a true Florida bred with a true northern strain. That's how you get an F1. Every generation after that, F2 bass, F3 bass, F4, so on and so forth. But that first generation will always grow the biggest. And so that's why a place like Lake Connor in Virginia, where the state record was caught 16 pounds, 4 ounces, I believe. I think it was caught in the late 80s.
The black and white era. Yeah. It was
and it was
Vietnam.
That was only about, I think it was less than 10 years after they stocked it with Florida strain bass. And that was a first generation fish. I'm pretty sure that's right, but that's a first generation fish, you know, so that's just proof, you know, that they're at their biggest when they're at their purest genetically. But the fish that live in these places now that have been stocked, they are also very big. The fish Caden's holding in this picture has Florida bass genetics. There are plenty of lakes that have bass with Florida genetics. Smith Mountain Lake has been stocked with F1s. Lake Chesden, Lake Anna, and those are bigger places. We like to, or at least I like to target smaller places because these are environments that are more concentrated. You can break them down quicker than Smith Mountain Lake. Smith Mountain Lake is huge. It's like 20, 30,000 acres. But if I go put it in at a 500-acre lake, it's much easier to break down. You can do it much faster. So instead of spending a lifetime, you know, trying to figure out the best places where the biggest fish live, I might only have to spend a few days. So that's the biggest thing I look for. But I just kind of segued into the second thing I look for is the size of the lake. Something else that's important as well is forage. You know, what is the forage like? And it doesn't have to be shad. We're talking lakes with bluegill and crappie in Virginia that have grown keeners. So it doesn't have to be shad, but just an abundance of forage. And usually a place as well where it's known for producing a lot of small fish, a lot of small bass. Like I'm talking like 10 to 14 inches, and they're just everywhere. Usually those places will have like a couple really big fish. But what I'm looking for is a place where there aren't that many bass, or, you know, the population is like, it's not like there's not an overabundance of bass, because these are fish that need to have an ample amount of forage. And if there's too much predation, there's less forage, the bass don't grow as fast. So, I mean, it's a variety of factors, and sometimes that information can be really hard to find, but what is easy to find relatively is, where some of these Florida bass are, where some of these F1 stocked lakes are. So that's the biggest thing I'm looking for.
And like you said, like half the battle, that's half the battle. Because if you just type into Grok or ChatGPT, like, what lake gives me the best chance of catching like a 8 to 10 pounder in Virginia, like the top 2 will pop up. Great. But you still got to go there and figure shit out. And then you have to be there every single day until the timing is right, because just because you show up to the best lake in Mexico for 3 hours does not mean you're going to catch a 15 to 16 pounder. And I think that's what gets people messed up, because I've said this on so many streams. I think there are multiple 16 pound fish, but the difference is if there's a 17 pound bass in Back Bay, no one will ever catch that. Why? Because it's 100,000 acres. And if you have to punch heavy vegetation, there is no way, in my personal opinion, you're going to be able to slackline that son of a bitch out of heavy vegetation and get him in the boat. I could be wrong, but it's a lot harder. You need open space. You can ping him with a minnow and you can work him, get him a good hook set into that mouth. Like, I just feel like everything has to be perfect to get it in the boat. To make it work. Could be wrong, but that's just kind of my opinion there. We got Strike City DMV. All the Suffolk Lakes have 10s, quick nugget. No, dude,
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a shit ton of places that have 10s and 16s, but then it's also like Chickahominy Reservoir. There's probably a 12 pound bass in there, but can you punch and get a 12 pounder out of there? I don't think so. It'd be a wintertime deal when he's out away from the cover so you can get it. Dude, these guys, and Caden, you caught this. These mouths are hard on these fish. And the idea that everything has to line up perfectly, then not only do you get them to commit, you get them to bite and you hook them, but then you get them into the boat. There's a lot of steps that have to go perfectly right to make that work.
Yeah.
So,
Without a doubt.
and just adding on to that real quick, like there is a huge luck factor in all of this. There really is, because if you look at a place like Back Bay, like you mentioned, let's say there is a 17 pounder swimming in Back Bay. I could go spend 10 years fishing Back Bay and never catch that fish. Yeah, it's a big body of water, right? Or like the James River, Chickahominy River. I could spend 10 years of my life fishing every day and I could never catch the biggest fish living in there, because it's so much water and everything has to go right. The timing is the most important thing. Being there, being at the right place at the right time on the right day with the right presentation. And that comes from experience. That comes from knowledge and confidence and experience all coming together. And like creating your own luck, it's you create your own opportunity in the sport. But if you spend that same time on a lake that's under 1,000 acres, got a much better chance of catching that fish. A much better chance, because everything's condensed. It's a condensed environment. You know where the fish are; they're in the lake. There's not many places for them to go.
Yeah, that's the only addition I could give to Aiden's reco is time of year. Like, if you're hunting a big bass, like right now, there honestly isn't much better time than the winter. You're not going to catch more fish, but you are going to catch bigger fish. Obviously, spring, there is a good chance pre-spawn. But right now, there's less pressure. These smaller bodies of water certainly help. I mean, all of us, everyone on this call has fished Smith Mountain Lake and Lake Anna. They're not small. Those lakes are not small. You could do circles around that lake for 5 years and not touch every piece of water. These smaller lakes, and like Aidan said, Virginia DWR has done a fantastic job, and Thomas, great job with having them on so often. But you can see on their website, like the catch rate 20-inch plus, like that's a great identifier. And that's certainly helped me in other states like Arkansas, where I just moved from. Like Arkansas does a fantastic job with their DWR team. Like they really do some great recording of where to catch a bigger fish. And I think using the internet to your advantage.
Oh yeah.
Don't doubt it, obviously.
Dude,
DWR has the citation page as well. I've spent a lot of time there.
No, I agree, and especially with like AI now, where it combs the internet for everything. Like the secrets are different now because they're constantly changing too. And I had a conversation with somebody at Richmond Expo where it's like secrets back in the 90s would last 10 years. Secrets now last a month, a week.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when that Japanese angler had the Norries build minnow, and it was literally somebody screenshotted it on his deck at Lake Murray. He didn't talk about the damn thing. Someone literally screenshot that, put it on Reddit, and then it blew up because cameras were everywhere and everyone's watching. Like you can't beat the autism of the internet.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy, dude. So it's like it's so hard where you have to constantly adapt.
Yeah, and then Koya Vegeta continued to like when he was hooking a fish, he would do this like whole thing where he's like this after that happened with the drift fry. Exactly. Like, and that's another thing that we don't talk about. It's like Virginia is a fascinating place because, like I said, I'm coming from West Virginia where there's a ton of pressure and the fishing sucks, which is like what, like why, right? Like you would think the pressure would then subside over time. Here, like I do see. Like I'm speaking as an advocate of the outdoors when I say this. If you live near Virginia, in Virginia, there is no reason for you not to go enjoy fishing because you will. And I mean, the 10-pounder obviously to go to showcase that is awesome. But just from my time being here, I mean, it's been short of incredible, man. Like it's been awesome.
So if you guys are ready, so we're not here for 9 hours, we can get to some chats. The first one up is, what is the best time of year to target your personal best?
Right now. Well, actually not right now because we have ice
everything
on
is
all
frozen.
Yes, everything is frozen. It is not ideal. I'm not okay right now. I need to get back out there. But yeah, we've been iced over the last couple of weeks. Anyways, if we don't have ice, right now is the best time of year, but we do have ice. So I would say this year, as soon as the ice comes off the lake, like within the first 2 weeks of the ice coming off the lake, first 3 weeks, that's going to be the best time of year to catch a personal best.
Yeah, I'd say late fall. I think one thing that we haven't really talked about is extremely late fall. So and I classified December to be like late fall. So I'm talking about the first time that we start to see really, really cold, our first freezes and that temperature starts to drop significantly.
Mm-hmm.
This past December was wild for me. And I like I said, I think that late fall, early winter transition when those fish are really stocking up, building a lot of fat, getting a lot of feeding on for the winter. And then once we hit winter, the thing with winter is that the bite windows will significantly lessen. They'll get shorter, they'll get fewer. But in those bite windows, you're going to catch your biggest fish. And that's what Kyle said. You're not going to catch often. You're not going to catch the most fish. But if you hit those windows correctly, you're going to catch the biggest fish, especially in the winter. And another huge thing we don't talk about is pressure. You're having months at a time where, unless you're at like a Lake Anna, but a lot of these pothole lakes, your smaller reservoirs, people are fair weather, right? There's not a lot of guys that are willing to go out to these no-name lakes and go put in the time and effort when it's 35, 40 degrees outside. So remember that as well, is that this time of year, there's usually the least amount of pressure too. So.
All righty, here we go. Next question. What? Nicolas Roniunian 6262. Well done, dude. Great hooked on phonics name. What advice would you give me to a young angler that wants to target size and numbers without electronics? Kyle, you're up. Then Caden.
What advice without electronics? I don't know. I only catch fish with live scope.
All right. Good job. This has been brought to you by Garmin.
I think there's two things. One thing is I would say probably the biggest misconception about winter fishing is that fish don't just sit on the bottom in the winter. You should not force yourself to drag a jig or force yourself to do something that's incredibly finesse. There are bite windows when fish are incredibly active. I was on Anna last week during that snow on Friday, and right as it started snowing, the fish just like snapped. And yes, I was using electronics, but the fish were in 6 to 8 feet of water on these gravel points, and they were not slow by any means. Like if I stopped moving the minnow that I was throwing, they would stop following it. So I think that's number one. Number two, a lot of times they are slow, but targeting places where they can get some added warmth or some structure where they're safe or able to kind of transition quickly. So if I'm sure most people on this call probably know this, but if you look at a bank and you see a steep wall on the bank, it's typically what it's going to look like underwater as well. So if you can target those banks with steep drop offs, it's likely that those fish can be shallow when they want to be or go deep when they want to. Fish don't want to sit on a giant flat in the winter where they've got to go a quarter of a mile to find deep water if there's a huge pressure change or a massive drop in temperature. So I'd say those three things are probably a good place to start. Don't always fish super slow, fish super slow, and find the right structure to fish.
I
Well
agree.
said.
I agree.
Yeah, some great points there.
I think the big thing with like, if the emphasis is on catching big fish, probably the easiest thing as well to do. Like Kyle was saying, I think conditions and simple lake map or a Google map overview, finding these areas. If you want to spend a little money, Navionics, that's electronics too, right? Like these are electronics that are readily available to us with an iPad, an iPhone, whatever. Not even, right? A smartphone in general. So the point is that I agree with everything that Kyle said, but then I also want to add throwing a big bait, right? It's a very easy thing to say. If you're trying to target the biggest fish, throw the biggest bait. That's not always true, right? I've caught giants on 2.8 Kitex, on a small little minnow. But if you're really trying to single out those big fish, a big bait will do it the best, without a doubt.
Absolutely. Something with a big bait like the one I have here. That's a 7-inch taxi shad by Fish Everything. This has been tied on since the fall. I've not thrown another glide bait. I love that. It's a great size. Look, you can throw like a smaller one, like a 5 or 6-inch glide bait. You can throw a 9 or 10-inch glide bait, but like a 7 to 8-inch glide is kind of that like perfect in between size that it has a lot of biteability and it has drawing power. Okay, so what I mean by biteability is you're gonna have like 2 and 3 pounders come up and check out the bait. It's going to draw them in. But with a 9-inch bait or a 10-inch bait, you might not get bites from those fish. Even 4-pounders, you might not get bites from those fish. A 7-inch, you're more likely to get bit on it from those smaller fish. Okay, but when we're talking about like 5, 6+ pounders, it matters less. Okay, and a 9-inch could be better because of its drawing power. It has more of a draw. The bigger the bait, the more the draw. But that's a big thing when targeting big fish. You can also catch numbers on glide baits. I mean, I've had 20 fish glide bait days. You know what I mean? Even this time of year, you can catch a lot of big fish that are not on the bottom, that are kind of like roaming up high or just in a piece of cover or on a rock wall, and they might be only 5 to 10 feet below the surface, depending on the time of day. So if you're looking for a big bite, if you're looking to catch big fish, I would definitely try experimenting with glide baits in that like 7 to 8-inch range.
I think if you're really, really like, I'm super stoked for Vic's new drop. He's already dropped them, but like the 12-inch is another bait that we don't talk about. These super mega giant glides. If you're really a diehard, like I want to catch the biggest fish in my lake. Yeah, those, the 12-inch. Mark my word, we will catch a giant, I mean, a 7+ on that 12-inch first few weeks out of ice. I guarantee you. That 12-inch.
Resfish on
giant.
Instagram.
Without a doubt.
Resfish on Instagram is saying, is he going to call that Taiwan? I can't say that. Sorry, never mind. We're going to save that offline. You're going to get a gift card because that's funny as shit. But anyway.
I gotta go peep Instagram now, dude.
Anyway, moving on. Next one. Delaware. Delaware isn't impressive for bass, to say the least. I'd like to try some VA areas. Could you recommend with a small boat?
Occoquan Reservoir is a great place that is probably the closest to Delaware from Virginia. If you're from Delaware or fishing Delaware, Occoquan Reservoir is just across the Potomac River. And there are a lot of big fish in there, man. And it's a great place to fish. You can have great numbers days in the spring and summer and fall and winter. You can have great numbers days year round and also catch really big fish, but particularly when the water is a little bit colder.
Yeah, or just again, we have Grok and AI. Just type, what are the top 3 lakes in Virginia that gives me the best chance of catching a big fish? All right, hit that. So let's see what comes up here. Boom, there you go. So like Smith Mountain Lake, Briary Creek, Lake Burton, Sandy, Chesed. Chesed probably does have some big ones in it. So there's 3 lakes that you can hit real quick. Like, I mean, with AI and social media now, like there's a bunch of places. The biggest thing I would say is like the size. Like the smaller, the better. I told Caden on his TikTok stream last week, go check that out. If the state record does get broken, it'll be in a place that you would like, wait, what? Really? It's going to be a small ass place in the middle of nowhere. I mean, there is Virginia, which is that belt between like DC and Virginia Beach. It's really big, but believe it or not, Virginia goes all the way to Tennessee. And so there's a place with like 5 people that live there in a town that gets stocked with trout, and like 3 people fish it. It's never been hit with live scope before. I wouldn't be shocked if it was one of those places that gets smoked with a 16-pounder.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
It's a big ass state, guys. It really is. So
yeah. Can I mention one thing about that's very unique to VA that we totally forgot to talk about? And it's going to be quick. Is horsepower restricted lakes, electric only lakes. That is another thing that I want people to understand is it's a double-edged sword. But in terms of managing the resource and for that resource to get very, very, specifically a bass, very big, manage it easily, that horsepower restriction does wonders for us guys in even a bass boat. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like the elimination of like wake boats, things like that, big tournaments. I mean, like Kyle's Triton, he could dump into any of these lakes, and just use the trolling motor. So the point is that also is a unique thing with, that is also a unique thing about Virginia is the electric only stuff.
They never touch tips, guys. Just
do you guys ever wear each other's Megabass hats? Yeah, occasionally.
Here, Caden. Here.
When no one's watching.
Then, yeah.
Dude, there's so many crazy things.
Exactly.
Again, guys, a rare treat. The biologist that runs Back Bay in the Suffolk Lakes, I did a 3-hour recording, 2 different episodes. There's a place where there's 2 lakes in Virginia. One, you can catch 8-pound bass, and then you just move it over the dam, and you can catch redfish and flounder, and it's a lake in Virginia. Yep.
Oh, I heard about this.
We talked about it. It's going to be released. Yep. I'll tell you guys off stream. Again, we talked about it, guys. It'll be for everyone else in the public. It'll be released in April. It's really cool, but it's because it used to be a rice field patty that they turned into a lake. And so redfish in one lake, cast over the dam and catch a largemouth. My point is there's so many freaking ponds and rice paddy field lakes all over this place. It's there. You just got to find it. Like, I think the Res and Smith probably have a big fish in it, but I just think the probability of you hooking that thing is just impossible. And maybe the Res just can't produce a 17-pounder, which is weird because there's a shit ton of big fish in there.
It definitely can. They don't have the right genetics, unfortunately.
You think that's what it is?
Well, the biggest fish I ever caught out of there was like 9.8. And I think
like, clearly that's the biggest fish. Like,
well, I'm not. No,
look at this
hat.
hat.
That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, if there were a state record in there, like we'd be catching 10-pounders, 12-pounders, 13-pounders, and we're not. Mm-hmm. That lake's been around since the 60s, I believe, and nobody's ever caught a 10-pounder out of there. They might. I mean, there might be 10-pounders in there, but there aren't teeners. That's for sure.
No, like it's yeah.
I think trout. I think it boils down to like here's another cool like thought experiment is if they were to stock trout in Occoquan, right? Like no, but I mean genuinely, right? Like if they were to stock trout the same way they do in a lot of these smaller reservoirs in West Virginia, like the first week in March, last week in February, whatever, starting and then just frequent, scheduled stockings all the way through like early May. Like would that?
I'm not a biologist, so I can't like answer your question with facts, but from what I understand, they wouldn't survive very long in that environment. But not only that, I don't think that I think that there's such an abundance of crappie and shad in that lake that the bass are already eating. I just don't see the benefit that trout would have. I don't think that stocking the place in the spring with trout is going to push those fish over the edge. Like they would be a food source, but I just think that they end up competing for a couple months out of the year before they die. They're competing with the other, forage.
I think, but I do think for some lakes, like a Mooney, right, a deeper, clearer reservoir, Moomaw, right, like I get your argument on genetics of the fish for sure, but I do think trout are inherently
Mooney,
part of the equation.
Yeah, Mooney, Crane's Nest Reservoir, like places like that in Appalachia, like definitely. I think Back Bay, like again, like I know Back Bay's got them. I don't think anyone's gonna catch it. Again, if you guys like, well, I have a huge episode. They electroshock that thing. There are monsters there, but it is literally like the flats of Florida. So you have to go find that thing. It's there. And we got through a couple more questions here. We got the hunting run opens March 7th and I'll be there opening day. So excited. Well, there was a 38-pound bag, best 5 caught out of hunting run last year in April. So that place could have them too. Able has got them. Again, like I think there's multiple lakes that definitely have the big ones in there. Let's see. We got, I think
Able's
recommended.
a sleeper, I think
Able's a sleeper.
Real big sleeper.
I know 4 people that have had their vehicles broken into. So God bless the hood. You keep that place
Don't
secret.
sleep at the
So
ramp. Yeah.
don't. That seems like. You have a story?
No, I'm just. You said it's a sleeper. Yeah, don't literally.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's the ramp there sucks. Like 5 people can be held there. That's it. Bass and red, let's go. Jesse Kirk, name the lake, don't be a bitch. Okay. Oh my God.
Wow.
That is not for me to say. Or you just use AI and it'll pop up in the
AI
top
will
5 or
tell
6.
you, Jesse.
In the top 5 or 6.
It's Burke Lake.
Or just go back to our TikTok last weekend, unless you took it down because we talked about the lake there. So there you go. And give him a follow too if you go over there.
Yeah.
So he gets something out of it.
Yeah. If you give me a follow, I'll send you the recording.
It's like OnlyFans for fishing.
10K on TikTok, guys. Please, I'll do anything.
I thought you were on 10K.
I'm almost.
Let's see. I'm at the host. Hunting run. Electronics. What advice would you? We did that one. Delaware, Suffolk Lakes, Bull Right. Oh, here. Ooh, this is a good one. What do y'all think about using live bait like bluegill?
I love using live bait. Live bait's awesome. You can catch giants on live bait. I grew up fishing live bluegills in golf course ponds.
Same.
I mean, it's less manly.
Yeah,
it's like come on, like it's like baiting deer. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you still shot a deer. If it's legal, obviously, if it's illegal. But
it's like you're talking like from experience here. It's like baiting deer. It's like getting broken your truck into while you're sleeping in it.
Yeah. It's like No, but the point is, I think my whole attraction to bass fishing has been artificial, like convincing the fish that this is real. Right. But I think if you're just like, hey, like I want to catch the biggest fish in the lake. Yeah, you're on the right track. Use live bait without a doubt.
I will say though, like just if you're going to use live bait, like you've got to own it. Like you can't like catch a giant bass on live bait and then turn around and be like, oh, I caught this on a working class zero citizen. And like, Don't do that.
Did you hear about? You heard about that, right?
No.
Did you hear about that? Dude,
Jennings?
that's 17. The 17.
The Jennings Lake fish.
That fish was caught on a live line trout.
Yep.
Did you not know that, Thomas?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
Dude,
I thought I heard it from you.
I had
So
someone reach out
is this
to me about
confirmed?
that, like,
Oh.
give me the intel. He was there the same day watching it happen.
I think I was on one of these like many host lives, Aidan, and these guys were California guys, and they knew that one of these people that were there. It could have been the same contact that contacted you, Kyle, but someone said I had a buddy that was there and like saw him throw live trout out and catch the fish and then bait hang a citizen.
I don't have that exact same info. The guy that told me said that he was watching it happen and that this guy had yelled at everyone that there was a giant swimming around. And Jennings, I've fished Jennings. I used to live like down the street from there. It is this like little pothole lake that's crystal clear, and you can literally see those giants swimming under you. So just like, I mean, it's like a Dixon where Dottie was caught. You could snag a fish without any problem whatsoever. So I have zero. I have zero reason to believe it's just a conspiracy. It definitely could have happened.
Yeah. Someone told me it was yeah, but obviously let's not start rumors though. But
Josh Waugh 9606. What do you know about Beaver Dam Swamp in Gloucester? It is hard to get into. I've had a couple of people in tournaments. I'm not going to say who because I don't want to dox them, but I've had a couple of people pull in fish that were like 25, 26 inches from there. Again, there is a shit ton of ponds. Like, I know where they're not going to come from. Part of it is I have insider information from the biologists and stuff. I know where it's not going to come from because part of it is pressure, but part of it is just everything has to align properly to get that big dog. I think it's going to come from a pond. It gives you the higher probability of you hooking it. I will keep going back to the example of Back Bay has the next world record. No one's going to catch it because it's just too much area to cover. If you can find yourself a pond, that is the perfect situation for you to have that conversion. I think too many of these other places just have too much pressure. And when you talk about places like the Norfolk Lakes, Sandy, Briery, places like that, they get so much pressure that these bucks, because they are bucks, they're basically big bucks, they've heard the gunshots go off. And if you're a 15-pound buck and you've seen 15 people get nailed next to you, they get wary. It could happen, but they're so much smarter. You need to find a really retarded 16-pounder that hasn't seen scope, that hasn't seen a jigging minnow, and you can put it in front of him for the first time and you can nail him. The more people that are good at that stuff and he's seen it, I think it makes it even that much harder that you're going to be able to convert him into it. It could happen. I just think it just gets harder and harder and harder each single time that he sees his buddies get pulled away in front of him. Oh, shit. Here.
I think it needed an FE12 though.
you definitely need an FE12 trout.
I mean,
when he drops the
like,
trout,
you can argue,
collar,
but
we're good.
it would. Yeah, it would need it.
Without a doubt, no question.
50-50. I mean, now I do think it's going to be that. I don't think you're ever going to get it in a grassy lake. I don't think the world record will ever come from a punching or Florida because it is so hard probability. Like forward-facing sonar gets pulled out. The Delta, Florida, any place where you can't use scope effectively, you're just blindly casting and hoping for the best. Like your odds just go down so much compared to those places. Watched a video recently about colors and bass. It was stated that bass are, Jesus God, that's a hard word. Yeah, you read it.
Okay, yeah, that bass are dichromatic to green and red. So basically, they see, and what he's basically saying is that, and I know a little bit about this. I'm not a biologist, so err with the side of caution. But basically, what he's saying is that bass have less wavelength to their vision, so they don't see as many colors as we do, Thomas. So like we see a spectrum, a rainbow, whereas bass only see like a couple different colors, right? So like the whole thing with pink chartreuse, those are like basically bright whites, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I'm on the same track, but he's asking, do you go down that rabbit hole?
Well, the conditions have to be like, what are we talking conditions? Are we talking that we're in freaking California in a gin clear place where they basically eat Chinook salmon and they will analyze that son of a bitch for like an hour before they commit? Or are we talking like you got some chop on the water, it's got that tannic color and they use their lateral lines more? It really is. It depends on the fishery. Like a Moomaw, where it's really gin clear, I think that does matter more about the color. For sure. The Potomac River or the James, somehow you luck into a 12 on a chatterbait. That sucker does not give a shit like the colors of it because he's feeling that thing. I personally think.
I agree with you. 100%.
Let's see.
Pick and choose your battles.
I'd like to break it down as well, kind of the way I look at color. When it comes to like a jighead minnow, like the Sakamata, I'm either throwing like something that's like pearl like this, or something that's a little more translucent. One for dirty water, one for clear water. Hell, you can throw them both in dirty water if you really wanted to, or throw them both in clear water. Glide baits, regular shad pattern, and then just a bone white for muddy water.
I think
color big, it's green or brown, or it's black sometimes, but it's really like not the biggest thing that I'm focused on. Like I have a pretty standard set, set of colors that I use, and for some baits like a drop shot worm, like I like a pink drop shot worm. It's proven, right? There are other baits where other colors are better. Like I'm probably not going to throw like an all pink glide bait, right? Because you could catch them on it, but
yeah, there you go. That's
maybe
a good reason.
All right, maybe I should start throwing all pink glide baits. But anyways, the point I'm getting at is color's not most important. Color's not really what I'm thinking about, and I'm not constantly changing through colors on my baits until I find one that works. What I will change through is size and action. Those two things are most important to me when I'm kind of trying to dial in what the fish want. Color is kind of secondary to profile and action.
And we're going to take everything that he said, which is 100% right about the largemouth, and let's switch to the brown boys. Do you all have a favorite glide for smallies? I got this custom painted. It is, oh Jesus, maybe you won't see it. It is the brightest chartreuse humanly possible, so you can see it from outer space. Hot pink works too. You're basically going to try to piss them off because they are just like, they're like a bunch of gays at a nightclub and they don't like the way you dress. And you want to get them the brightest, most crazy colors in front of them, and you're going to crank that thing, and they will just passionately hate it. I don't know why. Shenandoah, Susquehanna, all these, they will hit natural colors. I'm not saying they won't, but there's something about the weirdest colors for smallmouth that just triggers something emotionally for them. I don't know why. So if you guys know in the comments, let me know.
I think it's attributed to how much of smallmouth rely on sight. So I mean, definitely don't get me wrong, like. And we talked about this a little bit before on the live, is like, dirty water conditions on a river system can produce some of the biggest fish. But for the same reasons why those fish are so fickle and finicky when it's gin clear, like they're extremely keen. Their primary sense is their sight. All right, your Great Lakes. Like we're talking, smallmouth live in some of the cleanest bodies of water comparatively even to largemouth, right? Like they are sight feeders for the most part. And I think that's why. I think these fish, they're like, I love hot pink, hot chartreuse, especially pre-spawn and during the spawn. Like with smallmouth, there's just something about that. And that's why I think they're just so keen with their sight. Especially
with glides, jerk baits, things like that. Like when it's a visual thing, because a jerk bait or a glide, I think really is, with the little experience I have with glides, but I have a lot of experience with jerk baits. That 1% that will nose it before they commit, the color makes a difference because they're going to take a look at it real quick, and that's where it has to have either a glisten or the lack of that, or it really looks like what they're trying to hit. That's where that really matters when it comes to those sight feeders. But it is specific conditions, and that's where the wind is important, or rain, or something to break up that thing. That's why I think it's so interesting when you have really good jigging minnow weather. It's different. Like last year had mega bags on Smith Mountain and Lake Anna. This year, there was no big records broken on Lake Anna or Smith. Why? The fish aren't dead. They're there. The conditions didn't line up. Last year was insanely windy. It wasn't -15. And it was the perfect mixture to where you could fool those bigger fish into biting. This year, we didn't have them. Last year, between April and June, it rained terribly, and every river gave up massive state record smallmouth bags. The Upper Potomac had, I think it was like a 23-pound small. It never happened. A 23-pound smallmouth bag, first time ever, because it was chalky and muddy, and people were using chatterbaits and spinnerbaits for the first time ever. When it's usually gin clear, you could make those big old fish bite. So this is the other part of it. Even if you went to the best lake in Virginia, great. Is it a full moon? Do you have some chop? Is the water the correct temperature? Is it the right time? Like every single damn thing has to line up for you to, and that's why these guys like you all, they fish these lakes. Like I watched the documentary about the people that caught dottie and stuff. You camp out and you fish for a month straight just to get that 5-minute chance to make them commit.
Yeah. Yeah. If anyone hasn't read this book, probably one of the best big bass books ever. And I'm not a book reader, but this is juice. Mega juice. Do you guys know about this book?
Yeah.
Never read it.
This guy wrote the
I can't read.
biography on Nick Saban. It's called Sowbelly. The author is Monty Burke. He's well known in like the fishing space, but this is about people that have been chasing the world record largemouth.
What
People
the
in
hell's the name of that? Because
California.
I can't read.
It's Sowbelly.
So, sow belly. Thank you.
SOW belly. People in California. So like the old school, like back in the 90s, big bass chasers at like Castaic, swimbait guys soaking crawfish, some guys that were trying to grow them in their own ponds. One dude like almost went crazy trying to do it. Went through all of like Texas's what do they call it? Sharelunker, like the whole
Sharelunker program.
Yeah. Really, really enjoyable book, and I cannot read for shit.
Thanks for the recommendation.
Yeah, I've seen
That's on
some
Amazon.
spark notes on that. People talk about it on the internet.
It's great.
It's a good book. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is where like it's not necessarily the best lake; it's the time. Because I think if you're on the wrong lake, but you spend a month straight, you have a higher probability than if you are on the best lake for a day. And so I think when people are talking about what I need to do, I would say first try to donate the time. Like personally, from all the people I get to talk to, and I'm blessed with this platform, it's the people that are so autistic that they show up at the lake for a week straight, 2 weeks straight. Yeah. That gives you a higher probability than if you go to the best lake and you drive 30 hours, but you're only there for 4 hours. Like everything has to line up. And timing. The Bass Masters on Gunnersville is fantastic, where no one caught fish until 10 a.m. And then there was a 1 hour flurry. That was the whole lake. And then you can go down the rabbit hole of the why. But that shows you where, even if you're on the best lake, if the timing isn't right, who cares? You aren't stacking the deck in your favor.
Caden, how many times did you fish that lake where you caught the 10?
Yeah, one day.
Well, screw you. You don't count.
No, but I mean, here's the thing. I
anomaly. I'm just saying.
Absolutely anomaly. I think I don't know. Aidan and I talked about this. Like there's something about the the bender that I had been on, like into the energy around my boat. I was producing some level of an electromagnetic force bringing these fish to my boat. But no, really, like it was lucky. It was lucky, and it was me presenting a lure. And to be honest, like I'm surprised that fish didn't come off, Thomas. Like out of all the baits I could have chose to hook that fish, and like in terms of like the confidence of bringing that fish to the boat, a glide bait is a dangerous one. It really is, because there's a lot of weight behind that. The fish has a ton of leverage. I was lucky. I was throwing the right equipment, throwing the right bait. She bit it. She went into the boat. Like it just happened. So there's an element of luck. That's the hugest. I'm glad you said
that. I talked to a legendary crappie angler. That episode will drop here soon. He caught a fish that was 13 and a half pounds out of a lake, which will be in the episode. The only reason he landed it is he's fishing for suspended crappie in like 25 feet of water, and he had those sticky sharp hooks, and he just got her just right. Like what people don't understand, when you get these shark gaffs, like that is a big hole that you're putting in a really hard mouth, and if the water is frozen like it is now, that mouth is insanely hard. So you really just like again, that's that little like Aaron Martin's autism you can go down. Like the bigger the hook, like there's a lot of formulaic variables that then play out to get that fish in the boat, compared when you have those like nano sticky sharp hooks. Because then you always ask, like, why is that little girl always catching with a Mickey Mouse rod? Like, oh, there you go.
Yeah, if anyone that's watching doesn't know what Thomas is talking about, if your fish are very red mouthed, like that means they're very, very hard. That hook fell right out, like immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah.
It was tough to get those fish hooked. That was on Friday at Lake Anna.
I love those rainbows though, man.
You have got to set the hook hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Closing thoughts, so I can stay married. Aidan, you get to go. Finish your thought, big dog.
I was just wondering. So you said that guy caught a 13-pounder while crappie fishing. Where was he crappie fishing?
It's going to show
like
up in the
around here?
episode, but it was Roanoke Rapids or Lake Gaston. He said it in the episode. It was one of those two lakes, so go fish both of them. But it was late February, because I cover crappie fishermen. Like crappie is the deal, because that's why the big dogs follow them. That's why there's so many crappie anglers that catch big fish. It's not by accident.
Yeah, those big bass are eating the crappies.
But the funny thing is, why is it so many crappie fishermen land them? The reason they land them is because you're catching them in open water with sticky sharp hooks. And so when those mouths are super cold, those crappie jigs go right in, and those rods aren't thick. So they bow, and they're able to play them. And that to me was what was fascinating. It's like, oh, that actually makes sense.
Yep.
But that's where like the setup for your glide bait rod, everything, or crankbaits, like all that shit matters when you get down to that nth degree of like, if you have too stiff a rod with a light wire hook, you're screwed. If you have two, like all that stuff has to be perfect for you to land them. And they're not boat flipping them either. Like that's the other thing. It's like, when do you boat flip versus not? Because that could also be the situation.
Hunter Mayo would say, screw that, I'm boat flipping a 12. Do you see he boat flipped the 12 recently on a panorama? And that was anyway, he doesn't care about that.
I'm trying to get on with you call now. Shit. If those rods aren't going to break on a 12,
Dude, he had that whole montage of him just boat flipping like 9+ pounders.
Oh gosh, dude.
Yeah. Anyway, do we gotta wrap this up?
Everyone, closing thoughts.
Aidan, you go. You're top left.
Oh gosh. No, I mean we talked about a lot of good stuff.
Amen.
How was your dad's birthday?
That was great. Yeah, he celebrated his 55th birthday. We had a good time. We were down in Annapolis, some great places down there. But anyways, not great bass fishing in Annapolis. I prefer fishing in Virginia.
Annapolis has the Gunpowder River. It's the only place that you can catch native brown trout and almost get shot by the Bloods or Crips. So
that's actually Baltimore. That's north of Baltimore.
Oh, never mind. Baltimore.
And the Gunpowder.
Past geography.
If you know where Lock Raven Reservoir is, that's on the Gunpowder River. That's the Gunpowder River dammed up.
Oh shit.
Yeah, Lock Raven. I grew up fishing Lock Raven. It's a cool place. Well, honestly, there are a lot of great fisheries in Maryland, and there are 10-pound bass in Maryland, but the opportunity is the opportunity is just not like it is in Virginia. So that's why I spend most of my time fishing in Virginia, even though, I keep my boat in Maryland. I grew up in Maryland. I have no problem driving an hour, 2, 3, 4 hours to go target bass in Virginia. But yeah,
not to dox you. Where are you now?
So I live in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
And I work in Washington, D.C. Yeah. But I will say, if anybody has like more questions, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, wherever you can. Aidan Ford Fishing is my social media handle for all platforms. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I love talking about bass fishing.
Cade.
All right. Well, yeah. The last 6 months have been awesome. Virginia is an incredible state. I'm so excited for pre-spawn. It's gonna be lights out. But yeah, I mean, if you guys reside in this area and you're not fishing, and you want to get into fishing, I'm assuming everyone who's watching this is diehard or into that. But if you're not, or you're watching the recording, go fishing, because this state is a hidden gem. It's the Texas of the East. I mean, it really is. So enjoy that resource, and let's take care of that resource. That's the next step. But yeah, if you have any other questions, like Aidan said, feel free to reach out to myself, any of these guys. They'll get you in touch with whoever you need to get in touch with. Really cool project that Aidan, hopefully Kyle will be helping out, and Victor and a couple other guys. Forward-facing fishing is going to be an education platform for all things bass fishing. We're even getting some fly fishing stuff on that. So look forward to forward-facing fishing. Really excited for that. So we already have a website. Socials just got started up. Forward-facing fishing. Also, shout out to Fish Everything. Seriously, without this bait, I wouldn't have caught a 10-pounder. So, shout out to Vic.
Huge shout out to Vic, wherever you are.
Yep.
Hopefully, you're not ODing. Go for it.
It's closer to 11 than 10 too. I just want to put that out there. I feel like
good point. Good point. Thank you.
Saying that like almost 11-pounder versus the 10-pounder.
I definitely need to start clip farming that. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
And put an eggplant in your title because apparently it helps. Just saying. Anyway,
good point.
So Kyle,
I'm not going to talk anything about fishing.
Okay. Philosophy.
I just want to leave you guys with this world is crazy right now. Just be fucking good to each other. Like if you see someone in need, like whether it's a kid on the bank or someone asking you on social media for a tip, dude, just be good. Be good to each other. There's way too much negativity in the world right now. Like all we see on social media, all we see in the news is hate, division. Guys, just be nice to each other. We're all humans. And obviously, I'm the current TheKurrent. You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, all the good stuff. And if you want any of this merch, fish more, work less. I quit my job like 6 months ago to do this shit full time. All I do is fish now. So if you want to support the channel, find me on all the platforms. Appreciate y'all.
No, 100%. We can all get behind the fact that the Patriots lost, and that's what really is important.
Amen.
And that's what matters in the world. The most boring defensive Super Bowl, but who cares? Go Seahawks. And then, guys, so I can quit my job, please go support me on Patreon. If it wasn't for you guys, I'd be doing some unspeakable things behind a Walmart dumpster to be able to pay my mortgage. So huge shout out to all of you guys. We are going to probably put out 4 episodes this week, and we're going to go 5 next week so I can get all caught up on content because I have 17 episodes baked already, and I need to get them out now before all these other expos. Yeah, I have an issue. So go, link in the episode description to everyone except Kyle because he just came on 5 seconds ago. But on the re-upload, I will put Kyle's information as well. So go check everyone out, link in the episode description, and we will see you guys next time on Fishing the DMV. Bye.
You're listening to Fishing the DMV with your host, Thomas Aarons. Fishing the DMV is brought to you by Jake's Bait and Tackle, located in Winchester, Virginia, Tactical Fishing Company, and Fishing Pro Tech, located just outside Williamsburg, Virginia.
That doesn't get you jacked up, I don't know what will.